Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. Today we're going to be talking about Ardbeg, specifically the Corryvreckan. This is not a whiskey for the faint of heart, so let's get into it. Tomorrow, June 2nd, is Ardbeg Day, and you may have heard about Ardbeg Grooves, which is this Ardbeg Committee release that has been getting a pretty warm reception. And because of that, I wanted to take time to talk about another Ardbeg Committee release, or at least it used to be. It ended up becoming one of their mainline offerings, the Corryvreckan. So the Corryvreckan gets its name from this giant whirlpool that swirls just north of Islay, and in particular gets its name from this Viking prince named Brecon, who apparently drowned within the whirlpool. They talk about this love story of him trying to go find his love on the island of Islay, and ended up drowning while doing so. There was something about him having to survive for 3 days within the whirlpool and losing, I guess he was holding onto some ropes to try to not, get sucked under. Ended up losing them, so down he went. Anyway, the myth around it doesn't really matter, but that's where the name comes from. So let's talk a little bit more about this whiskey. This is a 114.2 proof, non-chill filtered whiskey. So let's get into the nosing and the tasting and see how it does. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a nose and a taste. Now, with most Ardbegs, the one thing that you're guaranteed to get is a peat, very smoky peat. Now, I can tell you that I can already smell that coming out. But the important thing with an Ardbeg is to try to get past that, because Ardbegs are more complex than they might lead you to believe, especially when you open that bottle and all you smell is peated smoke. So let's go ahead and give this a nose. All right, so I have been working on my descriptors a little bit more, because as I watch my videos, I realize that, often there's a lot of the very same things, but I could be more specific. So this is kind of what I get out of this. So it's oily and it's damp with kind of a briny nose to it. So it's just like that seawater. In particular, I wrote that it smells like wet seaweed at night. So it's got that heavy kind of just, like very salty, but like almost plant-like to it. And then obviously there's the smoke behind it. But yeah, so anyway, oily, I wrote oily, damp, and briny, like wet seaweed on the shore at night. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. And actually, in particular, cheers to you, Ardbeg, for Ardbeg Day this year. So cheers. All right, so the taste is similar. It's kind of a salty, damp air. More sea salt, like if you were to put sea salt on your food more so than like table salt. There is definitely a difference, and if you've tasted them both, you'll recognize that. There's a slight sweetness to it that kind of helps to balance out the flavor, which is actually very appreciated, because when you take into account the nose of the smoke, you actually don't get most of that smoke within the flavor itself, which actually is really good. In my opinion, when you taste smoke as much as you can nose it in some of these things, it really overpowers a lot of the other complexities. So anyway, a little bit of lemon in there as well. And I also, although I'm getting it once again, I'm actually happy to see I'm getting repeated flavors here, but I wrote down a little overcooked bacon grease. So yeah, I mean, you can kind of picture what that would smell or taste like if you had just a little, like some of those little crunchies that get left in the bacon grease that sometimes you can't help yourself from picking out. So anyway, that's what I'm getting out of here. So overall, what do I think about the Ardbeg Corryvreckan? I think this is a beautiful whiskey. I think this is awesome, and at $90, I would put this at a buy, only if you feel like you're ready to move past the Ardbeg 10 or the Uigeadail. So that would be my opinion. I think this is a complex Islay whiskey that is deserving of you being ready for it. So to that end, this has been the Whiskey Dictionary. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a good rest of your night.